Hello everyone, welcome back to Hills and Hollers Homesteading and Prepping. Homesteader Mike here, and I want to got some comments on some of the videos that I put on back previously when we were dry storing or dry packing in vacuum sealed packages, some of the potato flakes and some rice and stuff like that, as to why we were doing it in serving size portions. So the potato flakes, for example, it called for a portion size as a quarter cup per person. So, you know, some of the comments we were getting, and they weren't rude or anything like that, but I think people just don't understand where I was going with that. So in a situation where you're depending on your food stores, your dry goods and stuff like that to survive on, and we'll just put it that way, to survive on, you want to be able to keep it portioned out rather than having a 25-pound bag or a 20-pound bag. Like if I've got this bag of rice, I don't want to just keep it in this and dip into it as I need rice, okay? And the information on this, does it even have it? There it is. So it says a serving size is a quarter cup. A quarter cup yields 3/4 of a cup of cooked rice because, of course, it swells up. It takes on the water. So portioning it out like that, a quarter cup will turn into 3/4 of a cup because it swells up. Now, the other part was the potato flakes being just a quarter cup. That's a dry serving, okay? We know what potato flakes turn into when you put water to them. They turn into mashed potatoes, okay? So you could expect a similar instance where, of course, you're going to increase the bulk because you're adding water or even milk to it, okay? So when I did the rest of the rice, I did some in leftover ragu jars because perfectly good for sealing and long-term storage. Then we did Mylar bags. So this is 2 pounds of rice in the sealed Mylar bag with oxygen absorbers in it. And this is 2 pounds of pinto beans done the exact same way. Now, this is easier to do for me to look at things like this, and I said this in previous videos, is this keeps my bulk food safe, okay? And the reason I do this, instead of putting 20 or 25 pounds of beans into a 5-gallon bucket as one load, every time I open that bucket and expose 25 pounds of beans to the environment that I'm in, you risk contaminating it, okay? You risk moisture and stuff like that. That's why I'd rather just do my portions out like this, and that way when I dig into this, I can open this up. Now these Mylar bags have a zip lock to them. They're heat sealed at the top when we put everything in there, and we put oxygen absorbers in there. Probably a little overkill, but as in previous videos, overkill is underrated. So I can use this 2-pound bag, and if I end up getting into an environment or opening these in an environment that could potentially contaminate them, I risk losing 2 pounds versus 25 pounds. See where I'm going with that? Now, when it comes to the food prep, 2 pounds of rice is going to take a family of 4 a long ways. You're full of it, man. You can't feed a family of 4 on 2 pounds of rice for a week. Why can't I? If I got that 2 pounds of rice for a family of 4, what about my home canned chicken? So we just canned this, what was it, November. That's home canned chicken. That's pressure canned, home raised, and home processed chicken right there. Pasture raised, no soy, non-GMO, just to brag a little bit about what we raise. There's our chicken. How long is that going to get my family through? Because I don't have just one jar of this. Right out of our garden. Cabbage, peppers, tomatoes, and rice. Peppers and wieners, and rice. You see where I'm going with this? Green beans out of the garden, and rice. Or pinto beans, okay? So, or even better, how about homemade and home canned beef stew? That's probably 800 calories just in that jar. How about close to 1,500 calories right there? That is 1 pound of 80/20 ground beef, cooked and home canned. See that nice ring of fat on top of that? That's what you want. Look at previous videos when I tell you about protein and fat. That's what you're looking for. What about snacks? How about dehydrated apples? We do them here. Get the apples, core them out, rinse them off, core them out, slice them, put them in a dehydrator. Sprinkle a little cinnamon on them if you want to. That's a nice little snack, okay? So in a situation where we're depending on our food stores, we're not living wholly off of pinto beans and rice. That's not what we're doing. We're storing and canning other foods. This is right out of our garden, right here. This is right out of our garden, minus the wieners, right here. This is out of our field. All of this is all store-bought because we didn't raise the beef and we didn't raise the potatoes and the carrots. This is store-bought, but this is out of our garden, okay? So that's what I want to clear up here. When we talk about food preps and food storage, even if I do it in portion sizes, a quarter cup, I'm not depending on that one lone quarter cup to feed my big butt, okay? That's going to go with cabbage, peppers, and tomatoes. That's going to go with home canned chicken. That's going to go with home canned beef stew. That's going to go with peppers and wieners, okay? Peppers, tomatoes, and wieners. Is that what that is? Yeah. Peppers, tomatoes, and wieners, okay? That's the whole point of this. You don't pick one type of food and expect to live off of it. We eat this stuff year round. We eat this stuff year round. I eat this all the daggone time. This makes a meal for me, and a good meal for me. So if I portion this out amongst 4 of us, there's a whole pound right there. So there's a quarter pound of hamburger, ground beef for everybody, all 4 of us, with some rice or some pinto beans and some apple chips, dehydrated apple chips, to kind of help cleanse palate, so to speak. So when you're talking about food preservation, food stores, you don't just look at it blindly with tunnel vision. These are just a base for all of this. So think about that when you're doing your preps. Yes, that may only be a quarter cup of dried potato flakes that's going to turn into mashed potatoes. It may turn into a half a cup or even 3/4 of a cup of mashed potatoes. But that's not all I'm getting. I'm getting chicken, I'm getting beef stew, I'm getting green beans, I'm getting ground beef, okay? The sum of many parts is the meal. It's just safer to store this stuff and preserve it in serving sizes, because that allows us to only expose those serving sizes to the environment as each individual one is opened. The rest of it stays packed away neatly in other bags that are protection from the environment. So that's without, and I think I've got this clear now. I hope I've got this clear. I hope you understand. It's not just beans and rice, okay? It's beans and rice, beans or rice, and or chicken, and or beef stew, and or canned ground beef, and or cabbage, peppers, and tomatoes, and or peppers and wieners, and or green beans, and a little snack, okay? That's how you prep. That's how you put your food away. I would hate to think that I had to live on boiled beans and boiled rice only. That's why we raise gardens, to put this stuff aside. This becomes a part of a full meal. This becomes the base of a full meal. These are sides or fillers. That's it. I won't drag this out anymore, but please I hope you understand, because I was getting some comments like, you know, about how many potatoes somebody could live on and how much they could eat, and that's not enough for me, and that's not enough for me. A quarter cup isn't. It may not be, But when I add it with chicken, or I add it with this, and all this other stuff, that is what builds the meal. So your survival or your prepper meals shouldn't be just one thing. Now, I mean, sure, this could be one meal because it's got the beef, it's got the carrots and the potatoes in it. That could be one meal. But if I've got this and rice, why would I make just that one meal? I can portion this out. We can portion this out and feed my family. And we can have some dehydrated apple chips afterwards. That's it. So just think, don't get tunnel vision on rice and beans and potato flakes. Don't get that tunnel vision. Also, your dry goods should include salt, it should include sugar, it should include spices. This is homegrown, home dehydrated thyme and rosemary. It's grown in a box on my porch, okay? This is all done from right here. So you can do as much of this at home as you possibly can. Don't feel that you're limited. You're only limited by your tunnel vision and not thinking outside of the proverbial box, okay? So, not going to drag it out anymore. Keep working to starve that system. Don't let these people control and run our lives and tell us how bad things are. Don't let them be the rescuers, even though we know they'll never come for that. Take care, God bless, and with an open mind and take your blinders off, keep prepping.